listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I am really grateful for the time that you've created to join our conversation today. I have a really special guest that I want to quickly bring to the screen before we continue with our conversation. Joan, go ahead and say hello to everyone who is joining us for the show today.
Good afternoon from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. It's 4 p.m. here. My name is Joan Onyango, or Bunga, as you've seen, and I'm grateful to be here, Simon. It's been a while.
I know. It's definitely been a while, and I'm going to give you a proper introduction in just a moment. For now, I want to just take all of us to what the proverb for the day is, and I'm going to quickly share the 3 nuggets of wisdom, and then I'm going to properly introduce our guest and also create space for Joanne to share with us her own perspectives in regards to today's proverb. So our proverb is from Malawi. This is beautiful. I lived in Malawi for a while and worked there. So the proverb says that don't be like the mosquito. Don't be like the mosquito that bites the owner of the house. Don't be like the mosquito that bites the owner of the house. So I'll quickly just jump into the 3 nuggets of wisdom related to this proverb. The first one says that we should not betray the trust of those who have been kind to us. So this is a common thing that, of course, as a Kenyan, so many people want to use you as a ladder so that they get to where they need to get to, and then after that, you're not useful to them anymore. They make their way and they dust their feet on you as they move on. So this is a really common one. The second one is loyalty and integrity are essential qualities to cultivate. These days, if you find a loyal friend like Joanne, definitely you're privileged like myself, and I'll say more about that. And then finally, we must be grateful for the kindness of others and reciprocate it in our own actions. A lot of the time what you say does not matter, but what you do matters a lot. So as I was saying earlier, first of all, those who are watching, I just want you to take a minute, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and also comment down below in the chat with your own perspective in regards to this proverb. I'm just going to share it one more time. Don't be like the mosquito that bites the owner of the house. That is our proverb today. And our guest is really familiar with this platform. Joan Onyango Obunga has been an amazing supporter of this platform. When I was doing this show on Clubhouse and having a really big community there that supported this. A lot of them were not even from Kenya, but Joanne always showed up and supported. And those who are meeting her for the first time, she's an economist turned lawyer with over 20 years of experience working in research, economic planning, credit management, formulation of public policy, amongst many other experiences. And Joanne has really been someone that has supported the Luo community across the world. So she supported me long before Twitter Spaces even started, and currently she's helping build a really amazing space that we're also going to talk about later on in the show. So for now, Joanne, I want you to take a stab at this proverb, the proverb that we have for the day. When we sent this to you, what came to your mind?
Thank you very much, Javan Okello. And I just want to say that what attracted me to you is your name. My late father, remember I mentioned this to you, my late father was Javan, and there are very few people who have that name. So, and also I just like your resilience. I've always told people that come 4 o'clock, Kenyan time, you're always on to discuss, the African gems that we have. And thank you very much for doing this. And thank you for just progressing the African, culture with the wise sayings that you keep introducing to us. Well, when you sent me this proverb, what came to my mind was really do not bite the hand that feeds you. A lot of us are familiar with that. You know, you don't play games, with the hand that feeds you. Someone who knows how you eat or how you sleep. You see, a mosquito is in your house. It's a very tiny thing. It depends on you in the house for water and even food in terms of your blood. And it can be an irritant to you. Thinking that it's special or it's big enough, sometimes even causes you disease. But it doesn't know that sometimes all you have to do is slap it down. So what came to my mind is never bite the hand that feeds you. And also we should always just be grateful, and give back to the support that we get from whichever angle. Always look back, never shut the door, always hold the door for people who come after you, because when you're assisted, don't take that for granted. So basically that's what came to my mind the very first time when you sent me the proverb.
I love that. I love that, and it's beautiful that this is something that as parents we should remind our children about, and so I'm just so happy that this is being documented, because really we don't know what our children are watching on YouTube. We don't know what they're watching online, and so it's good for us as young African parents. We are really the uncles and aunties that we used to have, and so being able to document this type of conversation and hearing you drop those beautiful words of wisdom really helps. Now, I one of the things I love talking about, for those again who are joining me for the Afia podcast for the first time, I ask this question to all the guests that join me for the show, because for me, I feel that what drives me and what there's one story that I always remember from when I was 8 years old. My mother gave me a bicycle and asked me to help her distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood in Kisumu. And in Manyata, where I grew up, there are a lot of kiosks, that sell milk and bread, and dondo for those who are watching from Kenya, and matumbo and omena, and so because these small kiosks cannot afford to buy like 20 loaves of bread, we used to literally get them the bread, then they would cut it into 4 pieces, then one loaf serves 4 families, and so being able to be a distributor of bread and milk in this neighborhood helped me build a network and really become the entrepreneur that I am today. So I love asking my guests to share a similar story of what it is that happened when you are younger that continues to inspire who you are today. Because Joanne, I feel that you are a successful professional, and you don't have to be in the spaces that you are, but you always choose to contribute your voice, choose to support people who are doing good work, just out of the goodness of your heart. But maybe there is something that drives you to do the work you do, to show up for people like you do. So speak to that for a moment and share a story with us.
Yeah, my story is very practical, and my story emanates from my family. I was brought up as an only child for many years. I was an only child for about 15 years before my brother came. My brother is 15 years younger than me. And I was taught, the reason why I'm like this is because even as I was an only child, we never at any point were 3 of us at home. My dad invited all his relatives, his brothers would come over, my cousins would come over, and we were always houseful. There was no time that we did not have an extended member of the family. And those were all brothers. And, even growing up, I was always taught that, you need to love people, you need to take people as you take yourself. And the fact that we had people to help around the house did not mean that we would not do work in the house. My mother would make me scrub the house clean, even as we had a help. So I was shown that, as much as you may be privileged or you may be better than someone, always, bring those people up to your level because they're human like you. My father always taught me to love people and be respectful. And whenever someone abused me, it would be like, oh, thank them for it. And I believe that's why I have this heart of empathy. I believe that, if you have something, share. If you have a gift, just share and let that gift shine to the world. Give out, and also always have a heart of gratitude. So that's a story that I have. I was brought up in a home that welcomed guests. I still welcome people. I'll go into spaces and give my all. I've been called stupid by someone because of that, but it gives me a lot of, I'll say, fulfillment when I give back to society. Yes.
That's beautiful. It's really amazing how giving is hard, but taking is very easy. And also technology has made it easy for us to be able to give. And what I realize is that the biggest gift you can give is your time. And so a lot of the time, for example, what you're giving me now is huge, and we are documenting a beautiful conversation that is grounded on African wisdom, African ancestral wisdom. And so I feel that these days to be generous is not hard. Just showing up for someone, even in online spaces, even on social media, utilizing these spaces for good is very, very important. So I just love the story of, the discipline that your parents raised you with, but also the generosity that they taught you to have. But I want you to now just talk a little bit about your professional career. It's not many Kenyans who have accomplished some of the things that you have accomplished, And so, why did you choose this path? Why did you choose your current legal path? And if there is a young girl watching from your village and who has always been curious, because now the internet is everywhere. I'm sure somebody from your village is probably watching. But what did you tell them? What did you tell them that, hey, this is actually how I did this, and this is why I'm able to afford my lifestyle in Nairobi? Nairobi is one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Yeah, I began my professional journey at 22 because by 21 I'd finished my first degree in economics. I studied BA in economics and philosophy, and my my study of more philosophy is what gave me a broader mind to just seek what the meaning of life is. So I went into the banking sector, into the financial sector. Upon finishing my first degree, I worked in the space of rural credit, where we would give credit to the rural folk. And that's what grounded me as a human being, grounded me as a person, because I would go into the rural area, to inspect, the projects that the farming projects that we were funding. And that, also made me rethink about where I come from Nyanza. I come from the mighty Luo nation. It's a tribe that, it's a tribe that I think world over we should know. The tribe that Obama comes from, that's the tribe that I'm from. So I went into rural finance. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and then left that, went and worked in Southern Sudan for a bit, came back to Kenya, joined the banking sector. So whilst I was in the banking sector, I realized that, I was more of pushing profit. It was about profit for shareholders, and I felt empty inside because I was wondering, I'm not impacting community. Here it's about profit, and you're paid well for it. But deep inside, I felt, I need to give better. I need to give more to society. And that's when I decided to go into the study of law, because I felt that, my journey in the private sector brought to my attention the disparities and inequalities that we have in society. So, I thought that maybe if I studied law, I'd be able to help in, just reducing this inequality gap that we had through the rule of law, and specifically in drafting law. So I went back to law school, 4 years in law school, went to KSL, Kenya School of Law, where you study for your bar exams, passed my exams, and now went into the drafting law, realm. I get a lot of satisfaction in doing that because, one, you get to understand how people live. Because when you draft law, you draft it from a very practical, space where you're listening to people's problems and you're supposed to use this law that you're drafting to cure that societal problem that you've experienced. So I'm getting a lot of satisfaction working with government at both national and county level, and even just working with civil society in drawing up law and policy that have now gotten into public policy so that we can make the country and the community a better place. So it's a journey I love doing. People think that when you do law, you're only going to court. I don't think I enjoy litigation. I would enjoy litigation because I find it very, it's gloomy. You're always fighting. You're pushing and pulling. You're fighting about who should win and who should lose. So litigation is not my thing, and that's why I went into the space of drafting Sharia. So that's where I am, Javan.
I love that. Speaking about drafting law, I live in Seattle, Washington, where I am right now, and people had to vote to legalize marijuana. So here, if you walk, you find a lot of marijuana stores and, marijuana medical clinics. It's legal. How would you approach creating a law to legalize marijuana in Kenya? Because I feel that, for example, in Nyanza, there's huge pieces of land. There are so many young people who are idle, who have no jobs, and marijuana, if you go online and look it up, you'll find that the US, the Canadian government, the Jamaican government earned billions of dollars this last financial year from this industry, So let's say you have the opportunity to draft a law to legalize marijuana in Kenya. How would you approach it?
You realize the last election was an election that was on a platform of economic uplifting of the Kenyan people. And I think for the first time in Kenya, the candidates were talking about the economic uplifting of people. And it so happens that one of the parties actually came on the campaign trail on the platform of marijuana. And marijuana in Kenya is viewed as a drug, and I think that's the downside of it. I personally have read about marijuana and the benefits that it has in terms of, being a pain medication for cancer patients, for example. It's able to also help manage issues of bipolar. And there's also a brother of ours from the Luo community who once approached the Senate to petition the Kenyan Parliament on the need to legalize marijuana for the purposes that you're talking about, the commercial purposes that you're talking about, because it says that marijuana as a raw material can be used in building houses. It's medicinal. You can build furniture with it. So I think in Kenya, if the Kenyan people feel that, we need to unpack the values of marijuana as a raw material, then why not? I will stand guided. I will wait for the drafting instructions, and we will draft the marijuana law so that the Kenyan Parliament can go ahead and pass it after, of course, consulting with the community. Because when you draft law that will benefit the community. And so it's important for whoever is formulating legislation to speak to the people so that to understand where the gaps are and what they need the law to do for them. So yes, I would draft a law for marijuana if Kenya is ready.
That's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
now you spoke about the Luo Nation a lot in our conversation today, and you are deeply involved with the Luo Town Hall on Twitter Spaces. So speak to why this is important to you. And John, if you just move the other way, I think to your left, right there, right, one more time, right there, yes, and then speak to why this town hall is important, especially now. And it's true that Obama came from the Luo tribe, and Lupita Nyong'o came from the Luo tribe. I come from the Luo tribe. I'm a big deal too. Raila
Oh,
comes
yeah.
from the Luo tribe, so I feel that it's really important, and I'm learning this from here in the U.S., where a lot of the ethnic, the Indian tribes, the original owners of this land, they are now fighting back. They are bringing literature in their language. They are bringing, community centers centered around like the Makushut tribe, the Duamish tribe. Those are the owners of this land that I'm standing on. And so I feel that in Africa, in Kenya, and even in Nyanza, a lot of people are not proud of themselves. They don't even want to be identified as Luo. But you guys are busy programming heavily on Twitter. Speak to why that is important for you.
There's a Swahili saying that goes kosa mila ni mtumwa. Luo, Kiswahili is not a very strong point for Luos. But what that means is, if you don't follow your culture, then you're lost. And, culture is, every human being world over is grounded in culture, and culture is your root, culture is your lineage. So what is happening is, with the advent of education as we have it today, a lot of us are, forgetting our roots. We are forgetting our culture, and our culture is what makes us. There's a lot of things like the proverbs that we have today. Is a wise saying that the Malawians had, and it had a reason, and that's why we need to go back and just interrogate our cultures and uplift our cultures because they have meaning. There's a reason why our forefathers saw benefits in living the way they lived. You see issues of global warming coming up, for example. This is because we have actually left our roots and we have gone into destroying the earth. We are destroying the earth, yet our forefathers had very scientific ways, culturally rooted on how to preserve the environment, for example. There's a way that we relate as a Luo community. We kept family very close. We kept respect even as we kept family close. And there were rules and norms within the Luo culture that we are losing nowadays so that there's no respect amongst even the generations. You'll find that because we have loss of culture, there are a lot of children who have been abandoned. They are not taken care of. Amongst the Luo, a child always had a home, but nowadays you'll find that we don't have that. Relationships are breaking up because there's no family support, something that the Luo culture was very big on. You find that, for example, if someone lost a spouse, and for example, if it was a lady who lost her husband, the community would come around and take care of her and the children. But nowadays, they are left to the elements, right? There's a lot of also competition, and I'll call it, what do I call it? Competition amongst the sexes that was not there. Why? Because culturally there were roles for both, the male and the female that we are losing currently because of education. I agree that education is good. It broadens our mind. I agree absolutely. But then again, there are those aspects of our culture that give us depth. There are those aspects of our culture that made us thrive as humanity. And because we are losing them, there's a lot of dysfunction around. So we at the Luo Nation Town Hall meet, and we meet whenever we can, to just speak about our culture and what we need to do as a Luo nation. The Luo nation is actually a tribe that, traces its roots to the Sudan. And we also believe that we are related to the pharaohs, the pharaohs. We call them pharaohs in Luo. The pharaohs, we are actually related to them if you follow the lineage. So these are some of the things that we need to look back at. The Luo tribe is a brilliant mind. The Luo tribe is excellent, and that's what I always believe in. See what Javan is doing here. And so we at the Luo Nation are trying to just trace back our steps and bring back forth what our forefathers gave to us.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, John. There are so many of you who are watching the show now. I just want to say thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to be here with us for the Afia podcast. Today's episode is featuring the incredible John Onyango Obunga, who is an economist, and she turned from being an economist to being a lawyer, and she's just a wonderful, supporter of the work that I do here with this show. And also she supports the Luo Town Hall on Twitter Spaces, and she's just an incredible mother as well. And I'm a father of 3 girls. Let's talk quickly about parenting, John. What would you say is the best thing that parenting has taught you, that you'd use to encourage people who are currently freaking out that they're just about to become parents, especially here in the diaspora. A lot of the time you're just by yourself. You don't even have somebody that looks like you, and then suddenly you're having a child. You don't know how to raise them amongst strangers, amongst a new culture where people are eating different food. So just a little about parenting. And then I want you to also think about how people can stay connected with you. Where can people follow you on social media? And is there anything that we can do to support what you're doing, especially with the Luo Town Hall? Speak to those briefly as we get towards the end of our time together today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Javan. And yeah, always be grateful to be a parent, because it's the best gift you can ever have. I am a mother of 3, 2 boys, 1 girl. Beautiful to be a mother, but sometimes it can be a pain to be a parent, especially when you want to your kids to go a certain way and they choose other ways that they want to go. But it's the most beautiful, I'll call it, job that you can have. But one advice that I would give, from my experience, is let your children flow and be themselves. Growing up, we were, parented to do what our parents wanted us to be. But now the world has changed, and children are exposed to a lot of things. So just let your child flow and support your child to just follow their heart, because there's everything for everyone. I believe that we need to teach our children to love each other, to show kindness, and just be good people. There's a lot of competition that goes around in the world. We need to protect our kids from that dysfunction by showing them to just always spread love. For me, that's a very big thing. Spreading love is a big thing. I believe there's enough for everyone. And that's why whenever I stumble across, spaces where I can be able to contribute, I do it wholeheartedly, without holding back, that, I should get something in return. And the interesting thing is, when you open your heart that way, you receive. Somehow you just you receive. It comes back in equal measure. You asked about my social media handles. I'm on Facebook. As the names on the screen, Joan Onyango Bunga, you can find me there. I'm also on Twitter Spaces as Joanna Cheng, Joanna Chi, and on Instagram with the same nomenclature, Joan Achi. Yeah, so you can always find me on those. And also, I want to request you to just go to Luo Town Hall on Twitter, follow that channel. It's a very interesting space to be, and especially if you're a Luo child. If you're a Luo child, let's just go there and have conversation on how we can get better and how we can give back to our, our counties here in Kenya. There's a lot that needs to be done. We have always held this idea that Luo Nyanza is poor. We are not poor. We are not poor at all. In fact, we do better than a lot of counties that we think are rich. We are doing very well. We have great resources. Let's go back home and just nurture those resources. Thank you.
Of course, of course. John, have you guys? I should have stopped asking questions already by now because we are about to wrap up. But have you guys considered inviting some of the governors and leaders, especially governors from the Luo Nyanza region? Because I would find this Luo town hall to be a space of holding them accountable, to be a space of giving them ideas, to be a space of asking them, "Hey, I gave you this idea. Did you implement it?" And such opportunities. Have you guys considered that?
We do invite Nyanza leaders, and some come. Some actually join incognito to just get feedback on what we say there regarding, governance within the Nyanza counties. They do come. It's very difficult to pin them down to come, but I guess with time, they will find, I'll call it courage, because sometimes it can be very hard on leaders there. Being behind a screen gives you a lot of confidence, and it's an opportunity to ask exactly what you want. So some come and they get it hot. They really get it heated there. And I believe with time we'll be able to invite them. But yes, we try to invite them. With time they'll join us and just discuss their development agenda with us.
So beautiful. Hey, I just want to read a few comments here, Joan, before we wrap up. The first one is from Candy. Oh, and I think that's your daughter, right? She says, she says, "That's my mama, very sharp and intelligent woman." I love that. That's beautiful. And then Martin Osome, Martin says, "Good advice," And then brother Tidwell, brother Earth is his nickname, and he's joining us from North Carolina, I believe. He says that what you said earlier in regards to education is very true. And oftentimes education diminishes our cultures. And then I see Beryl Akinyi says, "Joan, you are an inspiration. Keep up the good work." And then she says, "Wash hands." I think she's saying something else there.
She's one of us. She's one of us at the Luo Town Hall. Thank you, Beryl.
Beryl, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have, Bees Help Son, who says that powerful, well, I can't really read it properly, so I'll just jump to the street lawyer. Oh, the street lawyer says, "Quite refreshing to hear Joan share the story of her journey." Oh, that's beautiful. And of course, brother Tidwell is saying peace and love village. And and Beryl also says here, finally, this is the last comment we are reading before we close. Heart of gratitude is very important. Something I'm cultivating in me every single day. I love that. Joan, your closing remarks before we wrap up today.
Thank you so much, Simon, for providing this opportunity for us to learn and just to go back to our roots, just to be reminded about our roots. And I just want to I just want to encourage all of us to spread love. Just spread love. Just spread love. For nothing. For nothing. That's all. That's what I'll wind up with. Spread love.
Man, I love that. And Joanne, thank you again for making the time, for choosing to support our culture, for choosing to support me. I really, really appreciate it. And next time I'm in Nairobi, I'll have to eat your ugali for sure. Yeah, and to
You're
everybody,
welcome.
asante sana. To everybody who joined us for the show today, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for those who don't know, we were also live on AMP, which is an amazing app that is owned by Amazon. It's pretty much like Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse. And they are currently, I think it's just in the US at the moment, but they are currently paying creators to create on that platform. They are growing it. They have music inbuilt there from Amazon Music. So, and Amazon has also sponsored the Madaraka Festival that I have been producing for the last 9 years. So this is the second year that Amazon is, partnering with us. So I love promoting their products because they support us, And then I just want to say a couple of things here. September 17th, we have Taste of Madaraka Festival, which is we are just rebranding the One Vibe African Dinner series that has been going on since 2016. So from September 17th and every third Sunday until March, we are going to be having this beautiful dinner series at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. And, we'll have chefs from different parts of Africa. So the very first one is going to be a Ugandan chef. So be prepared to enjoy some Ugandan cuisine. And then September 30th, we have the Africa Day Business Forum at the Motif. This is an event that people like Desmond Tutu. I was there last year, but in the early 60s, people like Desmond Tutu attended this event. This event was started by one of the people that came to the US together with Obama's father, So these are people who understand the value of building business between the US and Africa, So if you have a business in Kenya and you want to come to the US to connect with business people here, these big companies, for example, Lagos has electric ferries, and the company that built the electric ferries in Lagos comes from here in Seattle. So if you want to do big things, this is the event that you need to be at. The tickets are on Eventbrite. If you want to learn more, connect with me and I'll let you know more. With those few remarks, again, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel, leave us with your comment, give this video a thumbs up, and just be good to yourself. Like John said, spread love even if there's no point in doing it. So take good care of yourselves, guys. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle,